Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lauren, and every Thursday I post a new video all about weight loss surgery, health, what I eat in preparation for weight loss surgery, all of those things. So if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, then go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and get into the video. Today I'm gonna answer 10 of the most asked questions that I've gotten. Special shout out to my friend Kate who helped me get all of these questions together. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. So the first question that I've got is, how do I get the process started? So the first thing that I did was I actually talked to my mom, and I recommend finding somebody that you can go to kind of get their idea, get their advice, somebody that you trust. Make sure it's somebody that you trust, because people will not everybody is looking out for your best interest. So find somebody that you trust that you can talk to about this decision, and go through the pros and cons with them before you even make a decision. So I recommend finding a family member or a really close friend or a mentor, or just somebody that, just make sure it's somebody that you trust. The next thing after that I did, just a disclaimer, these are the things that I did, and it's probably going to be different for every person, so I can just speak for my experience. So that's what I know, so that's what I'm going to give you. So the next thing that I did after I talked to my mom and kind of kind of got her advice and stuff, I called my insurance. So on my insurance card, I have a customer service number on the back, and it was just like a 1-800 number, and I called that, and it was really easy. All I had to have was my insurance card and like my name and date of birth and stuff like that when I talked to the lady. And I just asked, I'm always awkward on the phone, so I literally was just like, hi, I was just wondering if my insurance covers bariatric surgery. And she was like, okay, let me look. And so she looks it up, and she was like, yep, it does cover it. And I was like, okay, what do I do next? And she was like, make an appointment with your primary care physician. And so I was like, all right. So I hung up with her, and right after that, I called my doctor's office, and I tried to make an appointment with my primary care physician. But because of where I live and just stuff, she was like booked for, this was the beginning of September. She was booked until January. And I was like, is there any way I can see somebody sooner? And they're like, we have this new doctor that your insurance would cover for you to see, and you could see him in October. So I was like, okay. So that was the beginning of September. They made my appointment for like the second week of October, but then they ended up having to postpone it to the third week. And that's just where I live. It takes forever to get anything done. And so finally I was able to go see this new doctor, and in between those times I was doing all the research. So I was watching YouTube videos, Googling things, reading articles, talking to people that I know that had the surgery. And so I recommend doing that in between there. So I went to see the doctor that they set me up with, and he was really nice, super supportive. He really thought that I would be a good candidate for bariatric surgery. So since he was new to the area, he wasn't familiar with the best bariatric surgeons in the area. So he went and talked to the other doctors in the office, and he got their recommendation. So they recommended DaVita, which is now Optum. And so he put in the referral for me, and I was like, well, what do I do next? And he's like, basically just wait for them to call you. They'll call you, get you set up with everything. And so I was like, okay, sounds good. So like the next day or the day after that, they called me. It was really fast. And they set up an appointment for me for the next Monday, I believe. So once I got my referral and got my appointment at DaVita, I went in that next Monday. I met with the surgeon and he went over all the different options for me. He basically wanted to see if I was a good candidate for surgery. So he talked about like, he asked me, you know, my medical history, my family's medical history, and all of that. And he decided that I was a good candidate. So he went over the different bariatric surgery options for me, and went over like pros and cons, side effects, that sort of thing. And he was really nice. It was a really awesome experience. Everybody at the office was really nice. And so then right after I met with him, I went to see I believe she's called a project coordinator. So she gave me pretty much everything I needed to know for before surgery. So she told me that my insurance required me to have 3 visits with a dietitian. And then the doctor recommended that I have an EKG, I have my labs done. I also needed to have an endoscopy. And so they scheduled all of those things for me. So I had my little planner, we went through, and she was like, how does this day work? How does this day work? And I was like, great. And so they sent the referrals to all the people, the psych eval, all of that. So like my labs, my EKG, the ultrasounds, all of those, I could just like walk in and do them. A couple of my cardiac clearance I had to call, but they sent all of those referrals, so then they would call me and I would just set up whatever day worked for me. So they did most of the work and I just like answered the phone. So it's been really easy, really. I am having the surgery in a city 2 hours away from me, so it was a bit of a drive and kind of hard to like schedule all of those things that I had to do. But if you live in a big city and you have like access to all of that, it'll be super easy for you. Because even driving 2 hours for me, like it still wasn't that big of a deal. So that's kind of, I guess, how to get the process started / like what to do throughout the process. So question number 2, and it kind of goes along with the first question, is what is the prep for surgery like? And so those are all of the things that I had to do, like the ultrasound, the labs, having an EKG, going to see a cardiologist and having her clear me for surgery, those types of things. Right now, I'm just waiting for this pandemic to end so that I can actually schedule my surgery. And so I know that there's a couple more things that I'm gonna have to do from here until my surgery, a couple like appointments and stuff, but I don't know what those are yet. But hopefully I have my next appointment tomorrow, so let's hope that they're allowing elective surgeries and I can actually schedule my surgery. At the beginning of this, I thought I would have had my surgery like at the end of February or the beginning of March. It's not been bad. I'm just waiting, and I just am like ready for it right now. But I'm being patient, trying to be patient. Okay, question number 3. What about loose skin? So this really depends on a lot of different things. It really comes down to genetics and your age. So it's really gonna vary person to person. So I don't know if I'll have loose skin. I mean, it also depends on how big you are when you start. So I don't know if I'll have loose skin or not. I probably will in some places, but I know that somebody who's 22 and has the surgery is probably gonna have a lot less loose skin than somebody who's 65 and has the surgery, or somebody who's 250 pounds versus somebody who's 400 pounds. But it also just depends on your genetics too. So, but is the fear of having loose skin worth not having the surgery? No. I mean, if If I can better my health so much more, but I have loose skin around my body, I would much rather have good health and loose skin than have bad health and a shorter life. So I don't think it should be a factor. I would always choose the better health. Okay, y'all, I just knocked the tripod over, so I hope that the camera is still at the same angle. Oops. Okay, question number 4. What are the different types of bariatric surgeries that you can have? And there's actually quite a few different surgeries. And I'm actually gonna make a video kind of going over all of the pros and cons of each surgery. So stay tuned for that one. So from my research, I found that there are 4 kind of main bariatric surgeries. I guess it kind of depends on what you mean by main, but it seems like those are the most popular ones. The 2 main ones that my surgeon does is the gastric bypass and the gastric sleeve. From my research, those are the 2 most popular ones. The other 2 that I would say are also popular are the lap band and the duodenal switch. But my surgeon doesn't do those anymore. I think a lot of places aren't doing the lap band anymore because actually putting a foreign object in your body doesn't really do the job. It might get some stuff done, but there's more cons than pros, I think. But the gastric bypass, and I'll put in a little picture of what it looks like a before and after. So they actually cut a little pouch for your stomach, and then your intestines actually bypass the main way that the food normally goes. You actually feel full faster while you're eating because you just have like an itty bitty pouch for your food to go in. So you just eat a little bit, you're full, and that's it. So that's how you lose the weight, how you lose the weight with the gastric bypass. With the gastric sleeve, I will put a little image kind of comparing what it looked like before and then after having the sleeve done. So they actually cut around your stomach to make a much smaller stomach, but it's just kind of like a sleeve. And then they actually remove that part of your stomach. They actually remove the extra bit of your stomach, whereas the gastric bypass, I guess they leave it in. So comparing those 2, which those are the main ones, so I like to go back and forth between those 2. I'll go much more in depth in my video comparing each one of the bariatric surgery options. But so this is just a really brief overview. What I like about the sleeve is that everything stays in the same order. Like everything stays as close to how God made it as possible. They just are like cutting out an extra. Whereas the bypass, they're actually bypassing the stomach with the intestines. So the thing is that you know what's best for your body. So do research, look things up, see which one is right for you. And while I can see the benefits of the sleeve and I like the idea of the sleeve, I just really feel like the bypass is the best option for me. I'm not really sure why. I know my body just like you know your body, and you can make that decision for yourself. So the gastric bypass actually makes the stomach smaller and reroutes the intestines. So after you have the surgery, when you're eating, you feel a lot fuller sooner, and you also absorb less minerals. Whereas the gastric sleeve removes about 80% of the stomach, and they actually take it out, whereas the bypass, they leave it in. But the sleeve, they actually take out 80% of the stomach, which causes the patients to feel less hungry. So they have way less of a desire to eat. And then there's the lap band. So they take a laparoscopic band and they put it around like the top of your stomach. So it just gives you like a little bit of room to fill up. So that fills up quicker. And so you eat less because you feel full faster. And then the duodenal switch is they reroute the intestines, and they also remove your gallbladder. So after you have that surgery, you feel a lot fuller sooner, you eat way less, and you absorb way less calories and minerals. Okay, question number 5 is, can bariatric surgery be reversed? And most doctors would say no, but technically it can be, but it shouldn't be. The thing is that when they've already gone in and operated, it's so much harder to go back in and operate on that tissue that they had, the tissue that's already healed. It's so much harder to operate on that. What I've seen most of the time happening is that people will have bariatric surgery, but they won't have good behaviors and good habits set in place. And so they'll have bariatric surgery and like 6 months will go by and it'll be great and they'll lose a whole bunch of weight, but then they'll start getting cravings back and they hadn't already got their habits in check. And so they start eating sugar, eating a lot of fried foods, eating a lot of fatty foods, and then they start just gaining their weight back. And the thing is that with the gastric sleeve, with the gastric bypass, you can stretch your stomach back out. If you're not intuitive eating and you're not stopping whenever you feel full and you just keep eating, you will actually stretch your stomach back out, and then your stomach will just become the size that it was before. And so you've basically reversed the surgery on your own. So I really don't recommend that, because you've gone through this huge surgery that's gonna help you and improve your life. So you don't wanna put that in danger by binge eating or eating, drinking soda that will stretch your stomach out, any of those things. What I really like about the program that I'm going through is that my dietitian is, she's really honest with me, and she's just with me every step of the way. And she's like, you know, after you have your surgery, you're not going to be able to eat these types of foods. You're not going to be able to drink these types of drinks. So you have to stop now. And I mean, she basically like put the fear of God in me, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to get those things in check now, because later after the surgery, you can eat things that aren't good for you and just completely reverse all your progress. I think sometimes people will go through this whole process and not be prepared for what's to come afterwards. So that's what my dietitian is working with me now, getting me prepared to change my eating habits, to change my lifestyle, because afterwards you can go back to the things that you were doing before, but do you really want to? Question number 6 is, are there any mental side effects that I should be aware of? And that's a really good question. I don't think I can answer that question fully in this video, so I'm gonna do a whole nother video on what I'm doing to prepare myself mentally. The thing that I've heard about is people who are overweight tend to have a overeating or binge eating pattern. And so people who are forced to give up that addiction or that thing that comforts them, they find another addiction. So I've heard of people afterwards picking up other things, other addictions. So that's just something that you have to be aware of. I know some people who, after they had the weight loss surgery and they couldn't comfort themselves with food, they started comforting themselves with gambling. I know some people who started comforting themselves with shopping. And so whereas they, hardly ever shop before, now they spend, instead of all of the money that they could have saved on fast food, they take all of that money and spend it on clothes or coffee cups or just random things. And so that's just something that we have to be aware of. Also, another mental side effect, I think, my aunt had weight loss surgery and she's lost so much weight. And sometimes she'll post on Facebook, she's like, I know that I've lost weight, like I can see it in these pictures, but when I look at myself in the mirror, I just see the same person. And I'm like, how in the world can you, like, you have changed so much, and she has so much more energy, and she is so much more healthy than she was, but yet she still sees herself as the same other woman. So I've seen so many people suffering from body dysmorphia. So they actually they don't see their body for what it really is. They see it through an idea that they have in their mind. And so I think a lot of people, their identity has been that they've been the fat girl or the fat boy or whatever. And now that they've lost a lot of weight, they can't remove their own ideals of how they see themselves. And so I think that's another one pretty big mental side effect that people struggle with. So the next few questions that I have are kind of all tied in together. So we'll start with question number 7, which is, what are the general negative side effects of weight loss surgery? So a few that the doctor went over with me are things like acid reflux, nausea, vomiting, and the inability to eat certain foods. And I'm on a couple different forums on Facebook, and I see some people who say that they can't eat chicken anymore, or some people can eat sugar, some people can't eat sugar, some people can't eat steak. It just really depends on your body, on you as an individual, on what your body will be like. Yeah, I totally want that, or no, I'm not eating that. So I know some people who, anytime they eat any sort of like bread or pasta, they get acid reflux, and so they just don't eat bread or pasta. My baby, you're so cute. My dogs are so cute. So that takes us to question number 8. Are there certain foods and drinks that you can't have after surgery? And it really depends on your body. My dietitian says no soda, no fried foods, no sugars, no anything like that. And of course I'm like, does that mean I can like never have a piece of like birthday cake for the rest of my life? And she was like, no, it might mean that for the first couple of years you might not be able to. Maybe when you're older, your body might kind of adjust, you can eat it. But some people, their bodies, it just depends. It really just depends on you as an individual. Are there things that you shouldn't eat because they're unhealthy and they're going to reverse your progress? Absolutely. But I know some people who chicken, just where they used to love chicken, it just makes them like, they're just like disgusted by it now. And I'm not really afraid of that. Yeah, there's things that I love now that I can't imagine not loving later in life. But I think like tomatoes, I hate tomatoes. And so if something that I really love, like steak, grossed me out the same way that tomatoes do now, that I'm not gonna miss it. I'm not gonna want it because I'm like, oh no, like my body does not want that. And so yeah, there's gonna be foods and drinks and things that you can't have, that you don't want really. Xoxo is here. Hi Huxley. But I wouldn't say that that's a negative side effect. I just think that that's just a side effect that you have to be aware of when you're planning changing your life, basically. So the next question is, how dangerous is it if you don't follow the guidelines for the foods and the drinks and stuff? And I've talked about the dangers of drinking soda, how after you have your surgery and you still have like stitches and stuff in your stomach, and you drink soda and your stomach, which soda makes your stomach expand. So what do you think it's gonna do? It's gonna push on those stitches, and it could bust the stitches, and you could have internal bleeding, and it would just, you know, obviously that's not something that we want. So yeah, those things, or like, you know, if you go have the surgery done and then the next day you're like, I'm gonna have a huge like steak and potato meal and eat this huge like ribeye, where your stomach is like, I don't know, this big, and you think you're gonna put like a whole pound of meat in there, that's gonna that's gonna be awful. I can't even imagine the effects that would actually have on you. Like that would, I just, you know, most people don't want to eat that much. That's why you go through the whole process of teaching yourself to have smaller portions, to eat healthy, to have those habits, so that when you come out of surgery, you're not like, okay, let's go to the buffet. You know, you're ready to start your new life. And the last question is vomiting a common side effect? And I really think that it is. I know some people that I've seen on different forums that say that they have never vomited since they've had surgery. But I also seen like a lot more that say that they do. If they, you know, eat something that their body is just not having, then their body's gonna do what it knows best and it's gonna spit it out. That's why you have to be careful and be intuitive with your body. Know what your body needs, what it wants, and don't try to stuff it with things that it's like, no, I don't want that. So I think that if you're just, you know, intuitively eating and you're following a good healthy diet and lifestyle, then those things aren't going to be a problem for you. One reason why I recommend going through like a medical group like DaVita, or now they're going by Optum, if like in 25 years I am like having complications with my stomach or something, I can call them up and be like, hey, I'm having these issues, and they're like, come in, you know. So they're basically with me every step of the way, before and afterwards. So after I have my surgery, I'll have appointments and they'll check in with me weekly after the surgery, and then monthly, and then anytime, like if I want to take a year-long trip to Africa or something, you know, I'll go and see them first, and then we can have over the phone doctor's appointments and all of those things. And they're just, you know, if I decide later down the road to get pregnant or any of those things, I will always have somebody there who knows basically everything about my body and can help me out with any complications or any questions that I have. And so I really recommend having going through a process like that, rather than like just going to Mexico and having the surgery, because with Optum I have a support group for the rest of my life. So I really recommend finding a group like that, talking to your doctor and finding something like that. So yeah, guys, that is the last of my questions. If you have any questions of your own, leave them down in the comments. I love to hear from you guys, and I'll answer whatever questions that you guys have. Be looking for my next couple videos. I'm going to be talking about the mental side effects of weight loss surgery, and I'm also going to be putting out a video on the pros and cons of each different types of weight loss surgery that are available. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. All right, I hope you guys are staying healthy and staying sane in quarantine. I love you all. Have a good night. Mwah.